Hey guys, it's Nick, and I'm bringing back a series I did last off-season, The Forgotten Blackhawk. I'm starting it off with a three-season player from this team of the Chicago Blackhawks, a player I really enjoyed playing that doesn't get recognized as a long-term Hawk because he played only 3 seasons with us, but when he did play, he was outstanding for this team. So, this video will be set up as a voiceover for the entire video. So, this is the only time you'll see a video portion on here until the end of the video. So, I hope you enjoy episode 4 of The Forgotten Blackhawk. Welcome to episode 4 of The Forgotten Blackhawk. And this episode is of number 24, Martin Havlat. Martin Havlat's career started out as an Ottawa Senator, where he played a total of 5 seasons with this team. The Senators drafted Havlat in the 1999 NHL draft in the first round at pick number 26. In his 5-year career with the Ottawa Senators, he made the playoffs all 5 of those seasons. And for total points of his career with the Senators in regular season play, he had 235 points on his career with the Senators, 105 goals, 130 assists, for a total of 298 games played in the regular season for Havlat. Those are good numbers right there. But in his playoff career with the Senators, he played all 5 years again, had 51 games played, 14 goals, 20 assists, for a total of 34 points on his playoff career. But in July 9, 2006, Marty Havlat has to get moved, and he becomes a Chicago Blackhawk. Immediately after Havlat being traded to the Hawks signed him to a 3-year contract, where he actually proved himself as a solid player for a young, up-and-coming team. The Blackhawks at this stage, they were rebuilding. They were in the basement of the NHL. And for his time as a Chicago Blackhawk, he played well. He had one season where it was really injured-ridden, but we'll get into that. After being traded to the Chicago Blackhawks, well, Havlat's career starts now in Chicago, where he signed a 3-year deal for a total of $18 million. Havlat played well on his contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. He started his Blackhawks career off in the 2006-2007 NHL season, which he ended up becoming an NHL All-Star for the first time in his career. In this 06-07 season, he played 56 games, had 25 goals, 32 assists, for a total of 37 points on this season. Havlat played great on this season of 06-07 with a team that was not good. The Chicago Blackhawks at this stage were not a good team. He was coming from a team that was actually playoff contenders for every year of his career, and they ended up going to the Cup final this season without Marty Havlat. That's another thing that's part of Havlat's career I've noticed. But in this season, he did suffer a couple injuries. In the early part of this season, he was among the tops of the NHL in points until he suffered an injury in late October, putting him out till December, and he returned to the Hawks lineup in his return, he put up 2 goals and had an assist in that game to face the Minnesota Wild, where the Hawks ultimately lost that game. But Havlat played great. He made his first NHL All-Star appearance, that is. That was held in Dallas, and he had a great season. I wonder if he played the full season. He could have probably had himself a solid 35 goal season, maybe 40 if he could push it, because he was at 25 goals when he went down, and he played well enough to probably put himself up to the 35 goal total. But Havlat, his next season, this one was not so good for him. Because in 07-08, he played 35 games, had 10 goals, 17 assists for a total of 27 points. This season, Havlat suffered quite a bit of injuries. They were nagging him, and he was out of the lineup quite a bit. But on this year, the Hawks had rookies of Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane. Duncan Keith made his first NHL All-Star game. They were starting to find themselves as a flourishing young team that can make it. The Hawks nearly made the playoffs in the 2008 season, but missed out by a total of 3 points, and that's a little bit of a rough way to go out of a season, even though a young team getting that way. The Hawks didn't need Martin Havlat that season, but when he did play, he played well. So we go to his great season of 2008-2009, where in this season he was named team MVP, playing a total of 81 games, having 29 goals, 48 assists, for a total of 77 points on this season, leading the Chicago Blackhawks in points. He played outstanding, giving himself the team MVP, but yet he did not make the NHL All-Star game, which is kind of a shame, but they had Toews and Kane, and you can expect the 2 young stars of the NHL making the All-Star game, which happened. And this was also a season where they played the first outdoor game for the Chicago Blackhawks, where Havlat scored the first Chicago Blackhawk goal outside. Havlat played outstanding in this year. It is a contract year, but he was the team MVP, which the Hawks could not do much after, because they were trying to re-sign him but could not come down to a deal. So in this year, the Hawks also did this. They made the 2009 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. In the playoffs, Havlat played 16 games, had 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points on the playoffs, helping the Chicago Blackhawks make it to the 2009 Western Conference Final, and where the Hawks ultimately lost to Detroit in the conference final, the defending Stanley Cup champion Detroit Red Wings. And the Hawks just had a great young team built and ready to go. They made it to the playoffs. They made it 4 in the playoffs, and you could see the future coming from this team. Maybe Havlat will join, but unfortunately, this was his last season with the Chicago Blackhawks. Martin Havlat basically was on a career season with the Chicago Blackhawks in the 2008-09 season, as you saw by his points and how he played in the playoffs. Well, the Hawks were trying to work out a contract extension for him for staying as a Chicago Blackhawk. Unfortunately, the Chicago Blackhawks' former GM, Dale Talon, could not come down to a deal because Dale Talon was wanting to do a one-year extension for Havlat, but Havlat and his party could not agree with terms with the Hawks, and he ultimately walked as a free agent and left the Chicago Blackhawks to go to the Minnesota Wild, where he signed as a Wild player for 6 years, $30 million on July 1st, 2009. But it just seemed weird for Havlat going to the Wild. I was a large Hawks, when I was watching the Hawks in those times from 06 to 09, Havlat was my favorite player on the team. Seeing him in a Wild jersey just seemed so weird. But the Hawks managed getting cap space to sign Marian Hossa that off-season. Havlat played 2 years of that 6-year contract he signed with the Minnesota Wild, where he played 151 games with the Wild, had 40 goals, 76 assists for 116 points. But he was ultimately traded after his second year with the Wild on July 3rd, 2011 to the San Jose Sharks, where the Wild acquired Danny Heatley and the Sharks acquired Marty Havlat. It was a 1-for-1 trade. Havlat's career with the Sharks ended up not playing as long as he would have liked. He played 3 seasons with the Sharks, had 127 games played, 27 goals, 40 assists for 67 points as a San Jose Shark. He did make the playoffs 3 times with the Sharks, and he only played 8 games with the Sharks in those playoff runs, had 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points on his playoff total for the San Jose Sharks. After his 3 years with the Sharks decided to buy him out, and he went free agent and signed with the New Jersey Devils. With the Devils, he played 1 season with them in 2014-15. He played 40 games, had 5 goals, 9 assists for a total of 14 points on his season with the Devils. You could tell at this point his career is starting to come towards an end, because the Devils decided not to bring back Marty Havlat, where Havlat signed a PTO with the St. Louis Blues. And he ended up getting to play regular season games with the Blues. He played 2 games with them, had 1 goal, and no assists for 1 total point with the St. Louis Blues. His contract was terminated in November 13th, 2015 by the Blues. In total, Havlat played in the NHL for 15 years, had a total of 790 games played, 242 goals on his career, 352 assists for a total of 594 points. Havlat, being a first-round selection by the Ottawa Senators, had some of his best numbers with the Senators, but honestly, I feel like he's more known as a Chicago Blackhawk. That is why Marty Havlat is part of the Forgotten Blackhawk series. So I would like to say thank you for watching this Forgotten Blackhawk episode. I know it was a little bit different how I did it, but I think it worked out, showing his stats throughout his career with all the teams he played for. I still feel like he's more known for wearing the Indian head on his jersey, but I've always been a fan of Marty Havlat. I wanted to do this video on Marty Havlat because I feel like he does get forgotten as a great player when he played with the team. He was part of the turning page of the Chicago Blackhawks from being kind of in the basement to starting to build them up. And they went on to win multiple Stanley Cups. Unfortunately, none of those cups had Marty Havlat on it. He was traded he was not traded. He left because he was a free agent and signed with the Wild, and the Hawks then had cap space to sign a player like Reynoso. But Marty Havlat was a big part of the team for his 3 years with the team, even though his second season he did not play that long. So, I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and most of all, let's go Hawks!